Hello and welcome to the Leah Knits YouTube channel. My name is Leah and this is my first ever WIP Wednesday video, so I'm very excited but a little bit nervous. This is something that I've wanted to do for a couple of years now, and I think about it all the time, and today, for whatever reason, I finally pulled the plug and just decided to jump in. So first I'm going to talk about what I finished recently, which is not much, and I kind of finished them over a week ago, but I just knit two pairs of socks out of the same yarn, but two different colorways, and I knit one for myself and one pair for a friend. This is my first time knitting a pair of socks for a friend. I've knit a couple for my mom and my sister, but I really want to knit more socks for my friends. So I'm going to try it out, and I'm just really worried that they're not going to fit their feet, but they gave me their shoe size and I used a sock ruler, so hopefully it'll work out. So if I didn't say already, this is Stripy Cat Yarns, and the first I knit, this is the one for my friend, and this is the Ravenclaw colorway. She picked it out herself. So she has bigger feet than me, so I cast on a little bit more stitches than I would normally, but lots of blues and grays with a lighter blue for the heel and the toe. I don't typically do, with a mini skein, I don't typically do the cuff in the contrast color because I'm afraid I'm going to run out of the yarn, when really I probably wouldn't, and next time I need to weigh and actually track it. Okay, so the ones I knit for me are I can't remember what the color was exactly, but I know that it was Luna themed. So here, I'll just hold one. I put them on blockers, but I didn't like the way they looked on the blockers. So lots of my favorite colors, pink and a couple of blues. And really like how this contrast pink pops and looks really pretty. This is a really long leg. This is like a 3-inch longer leg than I normally knit, but I wanted a pair for winter when I wear boots so that the socks are longer than my boots and the edges of the boots aren't running against my leg. I haven't tried them on yet, and I'm nervous that they're not going to fit like that high on my leg, so hopefully they will. And if not, then I'll be really sad, but it'll be okay. So that's all I finished recently. Oh, it's kind of satisfying to feel them like a big pile of socks. Okay, putting those to the side. So now it's time for WIPs, since it's actually WIP Wednesday. And the first is, guess what? Another pair of socks, but I've only finished one. And this is much more of the normal size length than I knit my socks. But this is Freckled Whimsy. She does a lot of Carrie from Freckled Whimsy. She does a lot of self-striping yarn. And this is the Jelly Monster colorway. And peanut butter and jelly happens to be one of my favorite foods. So when I saw this, I jumped at it. You'll see I have a marker here. When I knit socks, I typically use an afterthought heel, and I like to knit both socks all the way, bind off the toe and everything, and then do the afterthought heels together. It just, to me, makes it seem a lot easier because I can knit on the big long tube and then worry about the little fiddly parts after I've knit the whole thing. So I've finished one minus the heel, and then I have the second one. I just have barely casted that on, so maybe I can try to finish the cuff today and maybe challenge myself to finish the whole sock by next Wednesday. Doesn't really feel likely. I really only knit socks like in the car, and when I'm not, I don't like to knit socks at home. I don't know, I like to do bigger things at home. So it just depends on how much I'm out of the house this week and riding in the car versus driving in the car. Okay, next for WIPs is not a WIP right now because I had to frog it yesterday. So this is what it looks like right now. Just kidding. Well, not kidding, but I'll show the yarn. I had to wind this by hand because the yarn got tangled in the center pull ball that I originally wound on my wounder. So this is going to be a Musselburgh, which will be my first Musselburgh. I did cast this on 2 other times and have ripped it out twice, not because of the cast on. I was very nervous to try to knit the Musselburgh because so many people had talked about how tricky the cast on was. I personally didn't find it that bad, but the first time I was knitting it on wood needles because I did not have metal needles in that size, size 2. And I really didn't like how it felt on the wood needles. So went to my local yarn shop, got the size 2 on the metal Chalgu needles, which are my favorite, and started it again. Got a big chunk, probably like that much or so, and realized I didn't like the size and I felt it was going to be too big. So now I am going to, and I had made like a couple mistakes, like I think a couple stitches got dropped or something. So I'm going to recast that on today when I do my 30 minutes of knitting. I've been trying to do that and it just hasn't really been fitting into my schedule lately, but gonna try to get that cast on today because that would also be like a good car traveling. Also, I can read at the same time because it's just stockinette after you get past the increases. So I'm gonna redo that one and hopefully get it in the right size this time so that I can just keep going and get that done. Okay, now I'm gonna move into crochet whips. So you might have seen me post on Instagram a couple of times about the big one I'm working on right now, which is a crochet blanket from an Advent set I got in 2020. So I've had it almost 2 years now. The yarn sat in my stash for a good year before I figured out what I wanted to do with it. I found a pattern that I liked. It was held double with mohair. Started the pattern, did not like the pattern. It was a knit pattern and I got like maybe 2 rows in and I was like, this is not going to work for me to knit a blanket because I do not have the patience to do that. So I decided I was going to crochet it instead with one of my favorite crochet stitches, which is the ripple stitch. And so I just am using a little bit bigger hook than I would have with just the one yarn itself, and I'm just still holding the mohair double. So it's really soft and it's gotten really big. So here we go. Maybe I need to stand up. So it starts down here with the yellow and then fades into a rainbow. So right now I'm in the purples. I have this, I'm on this darker purple right now, and then it's going to go into like a maybe magenta type color, and then after that it is a bunch of blues. All of them, it's like 9 different shades of blue. It's going to be a lot of blue, but it felt like it was, oh, my chair's caught in the yarn. My chair's still caught in the yarn. There we go. But I felt like I was in yellow and orange and pink for forever. I was so happy when I finally got to the purple. So the light purple right here, that was stripe number 12. So after I finished that stripe, I was like, okay, I'm halfway through. I calculated how many stripes it was going to be to finish the whole thing. and figured out that if I crochet, not knit, 2 rows every day in the month of August, then I'll finish it by the end of August. So that is, I enjoy it, but it's like the amount of yarn is just very overwhelming. So far I have been, I mean, it's only the 3rd day of August, and on the 1st and 2nd of August, I was able to crochet 3 rows each day. So I'm hoping I can keep up with that. I have not timed how long it takes me to crochet a row, and I'm already over halfway. I feel like I should have done that by now. But it's not too late today, just so I can get an idea of like how long it would take me each day versus just like, oh, let me put on some Netflix, which is also fine. But it would be nice to know like how much one row takes. So I'll have to remember to do that today when I work on it. And hopefully I'll be able to get 3 rows done today, and that will finish that dark purple stripe. You can see over here I have all the blues laid out in their order, which I need to take a picture of, so that when I wind them I can look back at the picture if they like get out of order. Because they're not, some fades can get mixed up really easily. But these ones, the shades are at least distinct enough that like, I mean, really I've been winding up like 4 or 5 at a time and just throwing in my bag, but I take a picture of them before I wind them, so that I know exactly which one is next. And it's not that hard to remember when you only do like 4 or 5 at a time. So I have 9 skeins, mini skeins left to wind, and I really just need to pull the plug into it. Yeah. I don't like winding, so I just need to get that done. Well, that was all of my WIPs. I have a few projects I've been thinking about doing. I have like 3 other mini skein fade sets that aren't total advents. They're like 12. Well, I took like half of an advent to make like a fade, because I got an advent last year that was not a fade, but I've pulled 12 skeins to kind of make my own, and it looks really good. And so there's an amba pattern that uses 12 mini skeins, and I'm not sure if I'm going to say this right, Wolsia shawl that uses 12 skeins, mini skeins. So I bought the pattern, so I'm going to do that. And then I also have a 10 skein set from Emma's Yarn, one of the 10 skein fades that they've been doing. That they used to only have like 2 of them when I bought mine last year, but now they have a bunch more other colors. And so there's another pattern, the Nation shawl, that uses 10. There's also the Juniper Cowl by Tony Lipsy, and I am thinking about, I'm going back and forth because I like the look of the shawl, but the cowl would be easier to wear. So I'm debating look versus functionality there. I also have a set from Moonglow Yarn, and I have multiple skeins from Whitney of Moonglow Yarn, and they are just beautiful. And so I really like the Texture Me Cowl by Jennifer Beaulieu. I hope I said that right. I did live in Louisiana for a little bit, so I hope that I did that pronunciation right. And she designed it specifically for the type of set that I have from Moonglow Yarn. Really, it's like a sock set, but there's just some thing about this beautiful yarn. I don't just want to knit socks. I want to knit something that I can like wear up here and have it. And then there is the Collins tee that Laura Dobratz just came out with that I have no business of casting on a shirt or a sweater. I'm very nervous to cast on a garment because the last time it did not go well, and I did not like the way that it fit. So I'm worried that that's going to happen again. But the thing about this Collins tee is that it uses like a main color and then a bunch of, you can use scraps or minis. And so I really could pull this off from stash, and I already have the yarn wound up. And I already said how much I hate winding yarn. So I wouldn't have to wind anything to start that. So that is very appealing, not having to wind, especially because like I love mini skeins, but the idea of having to sit there, I mean, even these I've got to get wound up, and the idea of just sitting there and doing mini skein after mini skein, not very appealing. So that pattern is very appealing because I wouldn't have to wind anything. I could just cast on. And of course, more socks. So I mentioned at the beginning that I've been wanting to knit more socks for friends. So I have multiple skeins that I could do that with. And so I just need friends that would like actually wear them, because I don't want to knit socks for my friends and then they just leave them in their drawer forever. Like, I want them to wear them. So I'll have to see how that goes. I know there's a lot of sock knitters out there that give them. So if you have any experience gifting socks to friends, please let me know just what your experience is with that. I would love to hear, because I've only gifted socks to like my mom, and she does actually wear them. And I need to knit her. She's on the list to get another pair. So that's it for this week of WIP Wednesday, and I hope to be back next week. Bye!